we'll start with edges. I don't think the Niners really have a shot at the top 3. But you talk about those next like 5 or 6. All right. And that's right in the 49ers wheelhouse where some fits are, where some fits might not be. A couple names that you keep hearing mentioned, perhaps by other, podcasters or whatever on social media. I don't know. I'm higher and lower on some guys. These are all just my opinions, which is take it or leave it. It's former coaching background. Been doing this for a little while, but doesn't mean I'm good at it or great at it or anything like that. I do think we put out some quality content, but I think that it brings a lot because everything that we look at it is with the Niners slant. Not saying other people don't do that, but to go through each one of these, 250 prospects and dive into their background, their academic history, their team captain history, what they did in high school, all with the Niners slant on it. I don't know. I think we can kind of see the tea leaves on some of these players, and hopefully we can get into some of those. But we'll see. All right, let's do this. Let's dive into my top 5 edge rankings. And, these are just my rankings. I have 3 first-round grades. My top 2, and, one of the guys that I'm higher on than most is Jared Verse out of Florida State. He's my number 1 edge. I'm really, really high on him. 6'3", 254. I don't think the Niners have a chance to get him, but for me, if I had to bet on anybody in this class, like being the closest to a 10-sack guy year in and year out, it's Jared Verse for me. Number 2 is, Leatu Latu. I have those 2 guys pretty close to each other. Latu's ceiling is higher. Verse is safer, way safer. Latu's health history, that's got some issues. But the tape, the technician, he's so freaking good. I don't think the Niners have a shot at either one of these guys. Dallas Turner might go first because he's got that burst that just everybody covets, that bend that everybody covets. But I was a little lower on him. But those are my 3 first-round grades. I don't think the Niners can sniff really any of those. Now we get to my number 4, and now we're in second round here. That's Chop Robinson. I love Chop Robinson. 6'2", 254. He ran the 4.4 40. The biggest issue with him is, man, where's the production? That's rough. It's all projection. Chop is a very real possibility for the 49ers to draft. They have drafted guys like him in the past. 21 years old, explosive. Probably the best first step in this draft. He is light versus the run. But if you want a speed rusher, he'd be number 1 on your board out of this entire thing. Very violent streak with his hands like that. He's fun, but 3 sacks. You're drafting a guy with 3 sacks. There's guys with 19 sacks, production wise, and he's rushing. It's not like everything was shifted to him because Adisa Isaac, who I think he's my number 6 player of this draft, was on the opposing side. A lot of times they rotated, but still, it's not like this dude, they shifted focus to him. He just couldn't produce. And now you got to go through Penn State in this system. Talk about Jason Owe. That dude had 0 sacks, got drafted in the first round, and now he's balling out for Baltimore. So, that's kind of the way that it goes. I'm petting the dog. She's finally calming down a little bit. But, I like him. Sam Williams is my comp. B.J. Ojulari, those type of guys, second-round guys. Now, he's a cleaner guy because he doesn't have the off-the-field stuff, or at least as far as I know. On a scale of 1 to 10, 49ers fit, he's a 9. He's a 9. Early second-round grade. Right around 31 is where he should go. That's where he should go. Next up, I got Chris Braswell, who's Alabama. It's funny. There's 2 Alabama guys in the top 5. There's 2 Penn State guys in the top 6. And so you watch this tape and you can kind of see the difference. 6'3", 250. He plays completely different. He's a 4.6 guy, which isn't slow. We talk Chop and it's like, 4.49. This dude's 4.60. That's 1/10, 100-second, a little bit slower. Similar size, but that's pretty dang quick. And he's just burst instincts, 22 years old, high effort, makes a lot of plays after being blocked. And that's my thing. How do you win? Is it just one way? Chop one way. Speed, burst. That's it. Braswell, a little bit more of a jack of all trades type of guy. He can win with burst. He can win with effort. He can win with hands. I mean, he could just win. And his IQ is really, really high. Now, you talk about kind of 13 sacks in the SEC. Come on now. You're talking about a guy 3 sacks versus 13 sacks. You got to project some. And I think that's kind of part of it. But, I did say this. Ideal edge versus mobile quarterbacks. Like, this dude just instincts are off of the charts. I just love the way that he saw everything. I kept writing in my notes, linebacker instincts as an edge player, pursuit, A+, just diagnosed that, like, it just kept showing up on tape. Smart, savvy, wins a myriad of ways. Now, let's see here. He's kind of a one-year guy. He didn't have a lot of production, but that's what Alabama does. They rotate. And I know Johnny Dale, who I respect probably more than any. I love that dude. Chris Braswell, but he's an Alabama guy. So you got to put that in there. I'm a Texas guy. Wade's a Michigan guy, right? This affects. I hate Alabama. I hate the state. I hate the school. Can't stand it. Whenever I would drive to Georgia growing up, my dad lived in Georgia. I lived in Dallas. And so every summer I'd go work for my dad, right? I would fill up right before I got to Alabama state lines. So when I drove across Interstate 20, my foot never had to step foot in Alabama. That's just the way it was for me. I can't say it. But this dude, he's a damn good player. I really like him. Will Anderson Jr., like he played the same damn role. Joseph Asai, that's a Texas guy. He's a second round. 9 is the Niners fit. Like, he is a fit. He fits. It's just what he does. Now, tear down. And and I'll just go through these guys real quick. These are my other second round grades. And I have all 3 of these guys lumped in together. Darius Robinson out of Missouri. Bigger dude. He's been one of the very first and most consistently mocked players to the 49ers. Then I got Adisa Isaac, Chop's, teammate. I like him. I think he's a much better football player. He just lacks the elite traits of Chop. And then Javon Solomon. I have a second round grade on Javon Solomon. I love this dude. 6 foot, 246. Leverage. He's small, but jacked. You talk about big old bubble butt guy. This dude he's built. He looks like a big fullback, like back in the 80s, rushing the passer. This is Josh's personal favorite, who helped me with all the draft stuff. And he is just, 4'7", 40, 23 bench press reps, like 37-inch vertical. Niners met with him. He's older, 23 years old. He's played 52 games. This is Javon Solomon, edge out of Troy. Production. This dude, 17 sacks. He's 10th in NCAA history all time with 33 career sacks. So, production. He's got it. Played in a 3-man front, too. He went off the edge some, but this dude was lined up at a 4-eye consistently. And if you know anything about Troy, it's not like they're playing, cupcakes all the time. He produced to get some top-tier talent. No doubt about that. Stout versus double teams. You cannot move this guy. 1, because of the leverage, but 2, he's just so damn strong. Not a speed guy. He's a leverage guy, but his first step is great. You watch him versus the run, and it's just comical. He's so awesome. Like, they will try to, like, against the zone, he will just grab a guy, an offensive tackle, with his hand and pick him up and move him to the opposite shoulder. And, like, 2-gap an offensive tackle on an outside run play consistently. Like, he just does what he wants. He's a bulldog. He's mean as hell. I said tape says first rounder. Metrics and NFL competition say third rounder. Wrestling background, and it shows graduated already with a criminal justice degree. You look at his PFF grades, they're as high as anybody. 90.9 overall, 90 pass rush, 81.9 run defense, 92.4 true pass set. Gosh, man. Noah Spence, D Ford type of a guy because of the way he leverages, but he's not as fast as D Ford, but everything else about him screams D Ford. It just screams it. The bend around the edge is uncanny, and he just under leverages. Like it's awesome watching him play. 49ers fits a perfect 10, in my opinion. Met with the Niners already. That's Javon Solomon. So where's he fit? 3, He's 5, 6, 7. He's my 8th guy, but he's a second-round player for me. I'm probably higher on him than most. And we'll spend a little more time on the edge because this is, I mean, let's just be honest. The 49ers need it. And speaking with needing it, let's go with Neand. I didn't do that on purpose, but that was pretty dang good segue right there. Invader Niner. Neand looks like a player Kusaric might like. The 49ers met with him. He's talking Marshawn Neand out of Western Michigan. 6'3", 267. That's Nick Bosa metrics, man. Height and weight, a little shorter. 34.5-inch arms. Now we're talking Trent Baalke type guy. Like, this dude's built like an offensive tackle. 4'7", 40. All right. 35 vertical. That's pretty good for a big guy. 21 bench press reps. Niners met with him. He's 23 years old. So he's on the older side, kind of like Solomon. Rugged and physical. Power. Controls O-linemen consistently. At his best versus the run and controls the edge extremely well. Lacks the bend or speed of a day one edge rusher, but gets the dirty work done. Probably just a first and second D lineman. Could move inside some, but that's not really what it is. Effort is always top notch and may have already reached his full potential. You watch the Iowa tape, which Iowa tape is always boring when the Iowa offense is out there. But showed he belonged versus Iowa. Destroyed several of their tight ends and offensive tackles, and that's the tackle and tight end school. Like, so you could talk Western Michigan, but there's tape out there against the best of the best. Not that Iowa's the best, but from offensive line tight end perspective, that's what they do, right? That's Ferentz. That's what he creates. He blew him up. A lot of times was the best player on tape of the offense and defense. Just goes through O-linemen consistently with ease. O-linemen hate playing against them, bully, stack and shit. I mean, like, I hope that through some of these terms, these players come alive. And that's what I want. And again, he was a 400-meter regional champion and a high jumper in high school. So he's built. Crazy wingspan, 37 games played. And it's funny because his change of direction on tape isn't there, but he goes to the combine and his 20-yard shuttle and 3-cone were like amazing. So the tape, if you're a metrics guy, you love him because he's got crazy arms and the metrics pop off the charts. But then you look at him with 6 sacks at Central Michigan. All right, pass rusher, not really his thing. He's a better run guy. Joe Tryon with less pass rush, Rob Ninkovich. That's the type of player he is. I got a 3rd-round grade on him. Very, very fun player. Nick says, yep, a bigger run-stopping defensive end, please. If that's the case, you want, probably in this order, this would be my rankings. You would probably go Darius Robinson, then you'd go Neand, then you would go Dorless. Those are your 3 big run-stuffing defensive ends. There's more. But that gives you those options, if they're there.
The 49ers Rush Podcast.